Good morning, everybody. It looks like it's just after 10 o'clock, so we can get started here. My name is Tyson Moore. I'm a supervisor in the not-for-profit division here at DWD. I want to take this time to thank everybody for joining today's webinar. We're going to cover your online presence. With us today, as always, is Susan Berghoff. She's a director here at DWD. Our presenter, Carrie Minnick, and our newest member of the not-for-profit team, Phil McKenzie. I just want to give a little background on Phil, as he's waving right there. Phil has worked over 30 years in the private and public accounting space. He's started his career working with not-for-profit organizations in Michigan before moving to Fort Wayne, where he practiced public accounting, including working for not-for-profit organizations for the past 20 years. Phil's a member of the board of directors for Community Harvest Food Bank here in Fort Wayne, Our Lady of Victory Missionary Sisters, Kiwanis Club of Time Corners, and the U of M Alumni Club of Fort Wayne. So welcome, Phil. Now, before I get started, I have just a couple of housekeeping items to go over. So for those of you who have questions during today's webinar, please use Zoom's question and answer feature. You should see that option in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. We will be answering questions periodically throughout the presentation. Also, Carrie's slides will be emailed to everyone attending the webinar today, along with being posted to our website when the presentation is finished. I think that's everything I'm going to cover this morning. I'll now turn the floor over to Carrie to start her presentation.
Thanks, Tyson. Again, I just want to welcome everyone for attending today's seminar. Today, we're going to talk about your online presence. So both your own organization's website, but then also social media, and then also some third-party websites that some of your information is probably listed on. So as we go through today's webinar, we'll provide some tips and recommendations along the way. But for those of you that are in attendance that have a really active social media presence or are, have recently updated your website or are going through that process, please feel free to add what's worked for you or what's not worked for you in the chat window as we go. So that way we can learn from each other. So when we're talking about our online presence, it's really an important piece of being a successful organization. Not only does it expand your reach outside of Fort Wayne or wherever your current, physical location is, but it's an opportunity to spread the word about your mission. Obviously, the internet, social media is where so many people go each day to find information. So you want to make sure that your organization's information is out there for them to find as well. You can also use it to engage your volunteers and donors. So, not all of your donors and volunteers need to be in the same city that you are. And then also on that same note, attract new supporters. So when we're thinking of our website, just a few general website tips. Making sure that it's easy to read, very easy on the eyes, that the font, the color, pictures, that type of thing. Making sure that it's organized so people know where to look, know where to click on next when they need to find certain information about your organization. Along with that, limiting the number of clicks it takes to get to something. So you only want to have them, click a couple times in order to drill down and get to information. You don't want them to have to search all over multiple pages your website to find what they're looking for, because likely they'll probably leave your website then. Speed, making sure that it is, when you click on it, that it comes up pretty fast and that it's not waiting to be loaded. Making sure it's up to date. I don't know how many times I've gone onto nonprofit websites and have seen old board listings. Here's your list of board members and it's from 2 years ago. So just making sure that all of the information on your website is up to date. Mobile responsive. This means that whether you're on a laptop, an iPad, your phone, that the website will automatically adapt to all those different devices. It's much easier to access a website when it does that. And now people are accessing websites not only at their desk on their computer, but again, on their phone or iPad. So making sure that you have the capabilities on your website for them to access it on those different sites or different devices. And then finally, consistency. So not only consistency within the website, but consistency with the website and your other branding, logo, colors, that type of thing. So we want to see a relationship. We want to see some consistency between, what your logo is on your website versus what your logo is on your letterhead or on your, clothing that your employees wear, or, making sure that when someone sees your logo, they know that that is your organization and it's not a different one. So again, making sure the consistency across, the online presence and in real life. Next, we're going to look at a couple different actual nonprofit websites, and we're going to talk about different things that they do really well on their website, and talking about some things that you should probably have on your website. So the first thing is the mission. So this is the Save the Rhino organization. The mission should be one of the very first things that a visitor sees. We want to make sure that they clearly understand what they do. This organization saves rhinos, and you can clearly see that on their website. So they say we save rhinos, and then they have 4 different boxes here that kind of describe that a little bit more: protecting rhinos, tackling illegal trade, engaging communities, and bringing experts together. So there should be no doubt as to what your organization is working to achieve when someone first comes to your website. So plaster that on your homepage. Make sure everybody that visits your website knows exactly what it is that your organization does. Next item that you should probably include on your website is your founding story, or a little bit of history about the organization. So, what did you do to have to get to where you're at right now? This is a Heifer International's website, and they have a specific page that talks about their history. They have included a picture of a historical picture here, and then just kind of gives a brief summary here of that they've been around for 75 years, the lasting change, and then you can click to see a little bit more about that. But people, they know the organization now, but really sharing the story as to how you got to where you are now. So now that a visitor knows why you exist, your mission, and how you got there, your history, they're going to want to know how you are addressing the problem that your mission addresses. So what types of programs do you have? And also what kind of programs can they support? So this is Campus Bound Scholars, and they clearly state what the problem is on their website. High school students are the first generation in their families to attend college facing overwhelming challenges. And then they clearly state their solution as to how the organization is addressing this problem. So when you're talking about your programs, some things to consider maybe addressing: what is your approach to what the problem is? Who are your beneficiaries? So who are you serving? Who's benefiting from your programs? Including images and individual stories is always good. People really like to see that real world stories. It helps them connect with the organization. Where do your programs take place? Maybe you want to show a map of the United States or other countries, or maybe just a state that you're located in, so people can see where it is that you're providing your programs. When does it take place? Are you more active during certain times of year? Or like, for example, the Red Cross, are you more active after a disaster? So telling people not only what the problem is, but how you address it will help explain your organization better, and also provide them a better understanding as to what their contributions to your organization are going to support. Next, you might want to consider adding to your website, if you don't already have, is impact. So what impact has your organization made thus far? You can see here the American Heart Association. They clearly state what their impact is, and they give some analytics, some financial information here as far as reducing the deaths from stroke, the number of people reached, dollar amounts. So providing not only in words what they do, but also in numbers, showing dollar amounts, percentages, people reach, that type of thing. So again, when we're talking about impact, what is the potential impact that your future gifts may have on the organization's programs? Again, using visuals, charts, numbers to get their attention. So throughout your whole website, providing both words and pictures will be very, very beneficial to get the visitor engaged in your organization. You can see here, again, with the American Heart Association, they've also included a map and with little hearts that shows where they are saving lives. So again, a picture, a visual that you can see, they're all over the country and where they have saved lives. Stories, like I said, oftentimes nonprofits will share stories of people they helped, and I think that really helps connect volunteers, potential donors, just the community to what they're actually doing. The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society here provides inspirational stories of different individuals that they have helped. So not only do they show a picture of the individual, they show the person's name, where they're located, and what they did with the organization. I think, you know, oftentimes you go to a nonprofit fundraising event, they always have a mission moment or where they share stories to really help people get connected. And I know that's always beneficial when raising money to get support for the organization. So anytime you can share stories, I think that's a really beneficial thing for your organization. Your team. So with nonprofit organizations, the largest expense for most nonprofits are salaries and related expenses. You could not do what you do without your staff. So it's important to recognize, you know, who your team is. The Malala Fund shows the staff, and they have it divided between advocacy, communications, development, and so on, but they also show a picture of each staff person and what they do, so that way people can identify and connect with the different staff. It also shows that you are real people who make personal sacrifices to solve social problems. So again, making that connection. The more approachable and identifiable you are, the better a visitor can relate to you. So again, showing pictures. Now the next one, okay, so here's the staff, but then they also show the board, which a lot of organizations will list board members. Sometimes they will also show a board member's picture. This one is interesting because they don't just say board or board of directors or here's our board. They are saying that, you know, the funds board guides our efforts to create a world where every girl can choose her future. So again, they're tying it back to their mission and their programming and what they're doing. So it's not just, here's our board, you know, our board is actively participating. Here's what they're doing within the organization. And again, showing pictures and then also little description of each background of each board member. And it's important to list your board members here because on your annual Form 990, you are required to list anyone that served as a board member during the year for your organization. And the 990 obviously is a public document, so people can go out and access that. And so someone may go out and access your Form 990. They may look at who is listed on your board of directors, and they might want to find out more information about those people because those people are the ones that are ultimately responsible for your organization. So by providing those individuals on your website with a little bit of background about them, that allows the public, potential donors, funders to just have a little bit more information about the, the leaders of your organization and their experiences. So now that you've shown them on your website why they should support your organization, all the wonderful things that you do, you have to provide an opportunity for them to donate through your website. So for giving online gifts, make it easy. So you can see here that Charity Water has provided a couple different options. You can give once or you can give monthly. They've also provided different options to give. They've also included an other amount. So if you do decide to provide different options where people can just click and give $100 or $150, make sure that you can also provide an other amount. So so people have the capability to provide the amount that they want to give. Just one thing to note when you are taking donations through your website, if you have a donate button on your website, that means people can donate from other states. Most states have charitable solicitation registration requirements, and some have annual filings that have to be done. Just make sure that management considers where the organization is actively soliciting funds from, as well as where funds are coming in from, to determine if you need to file for state solicitation registrations in other states. So in summary, if you have a button on your website where people can donate, can actually go through the whole online donation process on your website. If you're getting a lot of donations from other states that's outside of Indiana, there may be some additional solicitation registration that needs to be done. And if that is the case, you might just want to look into that. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that does exist. And so if that is something that impacts your organization, you can feel free to contact us here at DWD. We can help you, or your auditor, accountant. They should be able to help you with that as well. Now, not all donors are comfortable making online or electronic donations. So if you do provide an opportunity for people to donate online, that's great. A lot of people like to do that. However, some people would rather write a check. Or some people like to make distributions from the IRA that go directly to the nonprofit. So make sure on your website that you also provide some additional ways to give. So if I'm going to your website and I would like to write a check, I don't want to pay with a credit card or debit card, I would like to write a check. Tell me where do I need to send that? And so this, again, Charity Water has provided another additional area on their website where you can, pay by a check, or if you want to make a stock donation, legacy giving, even if you want to do cryptocurrency. So just making it very easy for people to donate to your organization. You're likely going to get more donations. Your financials. So nonprofits are not required to disclose their financials. You don't have to make them available for the public. You are required to make Form 990 for the last 3 years available to the public if they ask for it. This is one way several nonprofits do that. They will post their annual Form 990 on their website. If you're doing that, just make sure that it is the public disclosure copy. Schedule B that lists donors and their addresses are not available for public disclosure. So if you're putting a copy of your 990 out there, make sure Schedule B does not include donors' names and addresses. So many organizations will post their Form 990. Some will also post their audited financial statements. It just kind of shows the organization's commitment to transparency to provide this additional information. Most organizations will have an annual report that they will post to their website. Again, you're not required to put these on your website. You're not required to put your 990 on your website, but many organizations do, just to provide additional transparency for their activity. So as you can see here, the link, this website, they show that a link to their annual report, and then also there's a support impact report. And then they also provide an option to look at their 990, their 990T, which reports unrelated business income, their audited financial statements. So again, they make that option available. You're not required to, but you can. And they also have some additional policies that they have included on their website that if you'd like to take a look at. Many of these are policies that are asked for on the 990. So the 990 will ask if the organization has a whistleblower policy in place, conflict of interest policy. And so they have decided that they would like to disclose that to the public so people can see what kind of policies you have in place. Again, not required. There's nothing that says that you have to do that. They've just decided to put those additional policies on their website. Again, if you do decide to add these types of documents, make sure that they are the most updated copy. You do not want to have old information out there that is not actually applicable to the current year. So some organizations will sell items. So you may have sell t-shirts, you may sell coffee mugs. There are different things that some nonprofits sell. And that's fine. So you can see this organization, Best Friends Save Them All, actually has a link to a shop where you can click on and buy different items, which is fine. A couple things to note if you are selling items on your website. First of all, effective July 1st, 2022, so this year, in Indiana, if you have sales, gross sales of $20,000 or more, you have to collect and remit sales tax. So before July 1st, 2022, the rule was that if you made something available for sale for more than 30 days in Indiana, you had to collect sales tax. So prior to July 1st, if you had an online shop and it was on your website for more than 30 days, that means that you made that item available for sale and you would have to remit or collect and remit sales tax. So again, as of July 1st, that changes. And it is gross sales of $20,000 or more for Indiana. These are Indiana nonprofits. Then you have to collect and remit sales tax. Also, if you do sell items that may relate or cause unrelated business income. So nonprofits are exempt from income taxes. However, if you have unrelated business income, so income that is not related to your mission, that is more of a for-profit venture, you may have to pay unrelated business income tax. You can see here on the Best Friends store at the very bottom, it's kind of tiny, but it says that when you shop at the Best Friends store, all proceeds will go right back into the work to save more lives. That's fine. You can do whatever you want to with that money. However, the IRS looks to see how that money was derived. And because that money, in this instance, was created from selling t-shirts or bags that have animal pictures on them, it's probably considered unrelated business income. The IRS does not care what you do with the money. It doesn't care if it all goes back into the organization or not. Because it was generated from an activity that was not unrelated, it considers it unrelated business income. So just want you to be aware of that. So if you do sell items on your website, and I know some organizations do, that's fine. There's just some things that you need to consider if that is applicable to your organization. Kind of on the same lines, website advertising. So oftentimes nonprofits will have links to other websites on their website, which is fine. So for example, thank you to our sponsors, and then you list all of the sponsors' names, and it includes a link to that sponsor's website. So then if you click on that sponsor's name, it will take them to their website, which is fine. However, if you were to click on that sponsor's name and it takes you to a website, and that new website opens and it is trying to sell that sponsor's items or services, that could be considered advertising. The IRS considers advertising unrelated business income. So again, you would have to pay taxes, unrelated business income tax on that. So make sure that if you do have links to other websites, that you are continually monitoring the content of those linked websites. So go out there and click on those every so often and see what comes up. If it's just taking you to the business's main page that says, here's what the business is, here's what they do, that's one thing. But if it takes it to like their online sales, or something on that site says, you know, use us, or trying to incentivize someone to use their services or buy their products, that could be considered advertising. Even though it is not on your website, it is linked to another website. The other thing related, so that's kind of one piece of it with the links, but then also some organizations may actually sell advertising space on their website. So just like, you know, in a program or on a physical book, you could actually sell advertising space on your website, and that is also considered advertising. So and again, creates unrelated business income. So just be aware of what you have on your website, and if you have anything that looks like advertising, you may be liable for unrelated business income taxes.
Carrie,
Yes.
we've had a couple questions come in regarding sales tax
Yes.
through the chat. One of them was, can you include the tax within the price and not add to the amount listed on the website for the products?
I am not sure what specifically has to be disclosed when you're doing sales tax like that. Obviously, you would have to remit the sales tax onto the state. As to whether you disclose that to the person for the actual sale, I do not know the answer for that. We can certainly look into that and send out the answer to everyone in the follow-up email.
And then a second question was, can you get around the sales tax requirement by offering a product free with a certain donation level?
Okay, so if you're providing a item in return for a contribution, that's fine. That would not be a sale. But there are some rules around that. So because we don't want it to turn into an exchange transaction. So it really depends on the value of the item. So if you're, okay, for every $500 gift, you're going to get a coffee mug, that's fine. That's not a sale. The coffee mug has a very small value, so that's fine. It's just, the person is paying you because they want to give you a contribution, not necessarily because they want to receive the contribution or the coffee mug. So it really depends on the value of the item. So if the item is small enough, and the IRS actually has a dollar amount that they say every year is considered insignificant, and I'm thinking it's around $11, but again, I will look that up and include that in the email to you. But if the dollar amount of the item that they are receiving is small enough, then it would be considered just a contribution and not an actual sale. One more thing.
As far as website advertising goes, we have a question about what about your URL links to board of directors companies? Would they be considered advertising?
Again, it depends on what's being popped up. So if you have a link to their company, that's fine. If it just, again, pulls it up and it says, this is what the company is, this is what they're doing. But if that link, you click on it and it pulls up like their online shop, then that's probably advertising. If it pulls up something on their website that is trying to incentivize the visitor to purchase something, either whether it be a service or an item, then it could probably be considered advertising. So unrelated business income is a very gray area, and it really depends on the certain circumstances of each situation. So again, in this situation, it would really depend on what pops up on that company's website. But if it is just a homepage that says, here is ABC company, this is what we do, probably not considered advertising.
Thank you.
Good questions. Thank you. Next, want to talk about a little bit about social media. So if you have social media, making sure you have those social buttons on your website. So you can see here, Habitat for Humanity actually has them listed across the top. You can see the Facebook, the Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, all of those on there. The reason that it's good to have these on your website is it makes it very easy for the visitor to connect to other areas of your online presence. So if you do have those different social media tools, making them available on your website so people can easily access those. So speaking of social media, we're just going to briefly talk about different ones and maybe some different pointers. Again, if you are active on any of these, please feel free to share in the chat what works for you, or if you don't use them, why. Because again, we kind of want to make this an opportunity to share with others as to what we're doing, what works and what doesn't work. One thing though, if you do have social media, different media accounts, please make sure that you use them. Don't just set one up and not use it. It's better to not have it all than to set one up and not have any current activity on it. So the first one we're going to talk about is Facebook. This is probably one of the more common ones. So if you are considering using it, or if you thought about it, haven't signed up for it, here's a few things to consider. Sign up as a nonprofit. Obviously you're a nonprofit. Complete the about section because you want to make sure people are clearly know what you are and what you're doing. You may want to use Facebook ads. Although they are not free, they can boost your presence and increase your visibility on Facebook. So just something to consider. You don't have to, but it is available. There is a donate button for nonprofits. This allows you to add a donate button to your page and or ads to let the people know that they can donate to your organization. There's a fundraisers feature, allows individuals to fundraise on behalf of a nonprofit. You can create events on Facebook. I know I've used this before to see what's going on and to find information about different nonprofit events. This is pretty nice because it allows you to post all updated logistics, details for an event, where it's at, when it starts. And you can share the events, so you can get people, your board members, your committee members, your volunteers, donors to share that event, and so may attract more people to come to your event. They have Facebook groups. I've not used Facebook groups before, but it's a place to generate discussion, nurture a sense of community amongst volunteers, donors, workers, those people that are invested in your cause. Maybe something to consider because it makes them feel special to be a part of your Facebook group. So just a few pointers there about Facebook. Next is Instagram. Again, making sure that you sign up as a business, a nonprofit, as opposed to an individual. There are available Instagram stories. So again, we talked about the importance of, sharing those real life stories, the pictures, the actual events on your website. Here, you can upload videos, pictures, texts without inundating your followers' feeds because they only last for 24 hours. There is an overlap between Facebook and Instagram, obviously, because they're owned by the same company. So you can sync accounts, because I know, sometimes with social media, it does take time and effort. Somebody has to update this. So if you have Facebook, you might want to have Instagram since they kind of go together. You can use hashtags to get more views. Just making sure that you're using the actual hashtags that people use to get things to pop up, just an additional way to get more attraction to your organization. LinkedIn, optimize your page, clearly communicate your location, number of employees, your mission statement, current job openings, links to your website. Have staff update their profiles. So do your staff have LinkedIn accounts? If they do, make sure that it shows that they work for your organization. Also, if you have staff that have LinkedIn pages, you probably want to make sure that you take a look at their pages just to make sure that there's nothing on there that is negative, and obviously there shouldn't be, but because it is linked to your organization, you just might want to be aware of the staff, what they have. LinkedIn ads is available, message ads, sponsored ads, text ads, all kinds of ads that you can look into. The thing with LinkedIn is you can look at analytics to see your number of followers, number of views, your demographics that people are looking at your site, at your page. You can also use LinkedIn to recruit volunteers and board members. So, you can go out there either through a job posting or through an advanced search. You can Google or you can search for people. So maybe you need to have a lawyer on your board, or maybe you'd like to have an accountant on your board. You can go into LinkedIn and do some advanced searches and find people within your area, that have different titles. And then you can see, depending on if their page is public or not, what types of activities they're involved in and what kind of interests they have, and maybe reach out to them to see if maybe they would be interested in joining your board or a volunteer. So I think that's kind of a unique aspect of LinkedIn that maybe some people aren't using. So that might be something to consider if you're looking for new board members or volunteers. So again, those were only a couple of the many social media tools that are out there. But again, if you are using social media, make sure you implement a policy or a guideline. Who has access to these different organizations' sites? Who can post? What can be posted? If there's comments, how are they addressed? Create a social media strategy. What's the purpose here? Is the purpose just to get information out about your organization? Is the purpose to raise funds? Is it to get volunteers for a specific event? Is it just to spread information about an upcoming event? So really what your purpose is going to impact, what social media tool you use and what you post. Make sure that you share stories about people and pictures, make those shareable so that way other people can share those and about your organization. And then finally, use the data that's provided by those services so you can see who is looking at your organization and what they are looking at. Some failures. So if you do try and use social media, what doesn't work? If you're inconsistent across platforms, again, we talked about, consistency in image and logo and that type of thing, but also what's posted out there. Failure to stay active. Again, I think that is so important that if you don't create a bunch of social media accounts and then don't do anything with them, if you're going to create one, make sure that you're actively using it. So people, if they click on it, they can see, okay, yes, the organization is active. They're providing information. If you don't engage with followers, not sharing stories, and then again, asking for donations too often, people just get tired of that and may unfollow you. So that was some information about things that you can control. So your own website and then social media, what you as an organization are posting out there. There are some other third-party websites out on the internet that probably have some information about your organization, and you should probably be aware of what's being posted out there. So we're going to talk about 3 of those next. The IRS website, GuideStar and Candid, they kind of go, they're basically the same, and then the Better Business Bureau. And I have included the links to each of those on the slide, so you can actually, I would encourage you to actually go out to each one of these sites at the end and see what's out there about your organization. Okay, so the first one is the IRS. So if you go onto the IRS website, they have what's called a tax exempt organization search. So if you go to the IRS website, click on the home, there's charities and nonprofits, and then search for charities. So you can search for any organization that has received tax exempt status with the IRS. You can search by the organization's name or EIN. So here's the screen what's going to look like when you actually go to it. So if we were to search for an organization, so let's just say we search for the United Way of Allen County. So what comes up? We can see the organization's EIN. We can see where they're located. If they have any other names, we can see that. we can see that under the deductibility code, PC, that means public charity. So that means they are a public charity versus a private foundation. And then we can see copies of their Form 990 from the last few years. Now, the Form 990 was recently added to this tool. So I don't know if you've looked at this tool before. The 990 was not there before. It's only recently been added. Also, the IRS determination letter is sometimes available depending on the organization and when they received their status. So I would encourage you to go onto the IRS website and look up your organization to make sure that it is correct, because I have looked up organizations on here before and information has been incorrect. An organization was listed as a private foundation when in truth it was a public charity. So sometimes stuff doesn't get updated. So just make sure that you are aware of what the IRS is listing on your website. If you do need to update it, there are different forms and ways to update information with the IRS. They do provide how to do that on their website. You can also contact us. We'd be happy to help with that. But again, just making sure that the information is correct. Next is GuideStar. So in 2019, GuideStar's tools for nonprofits were combined with the Foundation Center to create Candid. So you can either Google Candid or GuideStar. They both come up. They do very similar things. So GuideStar's Seals of Transparency have become Candid Seals of Transparency. They were originally introduced in 2013, and they help to demonstrate transparency to potential funders and donors of organizations. So basically, there are 4 different seals that an organization can get based on the information that the organization provides. So the lowest is the bronze seal. Then we have the silver seal. Next, we have gold, and finally platinum. So again, if you would like to get any of these different seals, we will tell you how you can do that. So bronze seal, lowest level, basic information. So this is what you're going to see from an organization that has a bronze seal. What the mission is, their principal officer, their main address, EIN, their ruling year. So very basic information. Basically the same information that the IRS had. So by submitting this information to GuideStar, you can get the bronze seal. Now, if you would like to provide more information to GuideStar, you can get the silver seal. So in addition to that basic information, you need to add what you do and who you are. So for the Indianapolis Museum of Art, they've added programs, what kind of programs they do, a place for nature and the arts. So you can see it takes a little bit more to step up to that next silver seal. But again, what you do and who you are in addition to that basic information. At the gold seal, financials are included. So we have everything that's included with those first 2 seals, but now we're also providing information on the financials. And these charts are created through the website. You just put in the dollar amount and it creates this. So here you can see revenues and expenses. Organizational demographics is also included at the gold seal. So race, ethnicity, gender identity of the leadership, board members, staff. So again, the higher the seal, the more information that is provided. Now the platinum seal, in addition to all of the basic information about the organization, goals and strategy are added. So if you would like to update information on your future goals and strategy to get a platinum seal, you can certainly do that. So it asks questions about impact. What are you aiming to accomplish? What are the organization's key strategies for making this happen, and so on. Also, your impact. So what are the results? Number of volunteers, degrees awarded. This is just based on what this specific organization does, but you would include information on impact. So again, more information. So you can see there's 4 different seals. Candid actually did a study in late 2020 on the seals, and 78,262 organizations actually had a seal. Nearly half of those were bronze. So that's the lowest level, just providing basic information. 19% were silver, 20% at gold, and only 15% at platinum. So motivations and incentives for getting a seal vary. Someone to reach new donors or funders, or maybe you just want to maintain a bunch of information that donors are asking for in a single place, and this is one way to do it. It's up to you, but again, just make sure that you at least look at what is already out there for your organization, because someone from your organization may have uploaded some information years ago and it might still be out there. Again, making sure that it is accurate and up to date. So again, back to United Way of Allen County. So here's an example. They have the gold seal. So basic information, mission, ruling, year, who is the president and CEO, address, it has their little logo here on the side. Programs and results. So what we aim to solve, what our programs are, where we work. So that's kind of a summary of the GuideStar seals. So similar to the GuideStar seals, the Better Business Bureau has standards of charity accountability. So there are 20 charity standards, and the Better Business Bureau goes through and looks to see if an organization meets all of those standards. If you do, then there's the licensing agreement fee arrangement based on a sliding scale annual fee to display the BBB accredited charity seal on your website and promotional materials. So if that's something that you're striving for, that you want to show your organization meets these 20 charity standards and that you can share that with donors, you can go through this process. Once you go through to determine if you meet these 20 standards, there is continuing compliance. Generally, every 24 months or so, you must complete a full questionnaire and submit some supporting documentation. So what are those standards? Well, let me tell you. So they are divided between different categories: governance and oversight, measuring effectiveness, finances, and then solicitations and informational materials. So you can see there kind of what the 20 standards are that they're looking for. So again, we'll look at United Way. They are an accredited charity that meets the standards, and you can see here they have the little green check mark that meets all of the different standards. So again, on this one, the BBB, there is a fee to have this on here. So if that's something that your organization wants to spend money on so that you can say you're BBB accredited, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to. But if it is something that you don't want to spend money on, but you still want to maybe benefit from that, you can go onto their website and look, get an idea of these different standards, and you can still, use this as a basis to implement these standards into your organization. So for example, when they talk under governance about board oversight, okay, what is it that they're looking for? Okay, let's make sure that we've implemented that into our organization. Even if you don't want to spend the money, like I said, to pay and actually get the accredited charity seal, that's up to you. You could still use this. It can still benefit your organization to look into what these 20 standards are and to maybe implement some of those within your organization. So those are only 3 of the third-party sites that are out there. Again, I just wanted to make you aware of those. Again, please go out there and look to make sure what has been updated or put on those different websites for your organization, because more than likely there's something out there on it. Make sure that it's updated to the most recent information. Check out your own website. I don't know how often you actually look at your own website, but make sure that the information out there is what you want to tell the organization story. If there's hyperlinks, links to other organizations' websites, click on those to see what pops up. Make sure you implement a social media policy if you do have any kind of social media tools. Again, who can access it, what's posted out there, that type of thing. And then finally, I would just recommend Googling your organization to see what comes up. Obviously, we only talked about 3 third-party sites. I'm sure there's other ones out there. You know, if your organization is part of a national organization, that national organization might have something about your organization on their website. So I would strongly recommend just taking a couple minutes to Google your organization to see what's out there. You might find some surprising things. That is all that I have for today. Does anyone have any other questions that we haven't addressed at this time?
There's none in the questions, and I think we've
Okay, sounds-
done all the chat.
sounds good. So if not, I think Tyson's just gonna wrap us up.
Yes, thanks. Thank you, Carrie. Just as a reminder, this session was recorded, so the slides and video will be available on our DWD website in the not-for-profit section. A link to this section will also be emailed out to everyone attending today. While on the DWD website, please visit the not-for-profit webinar page where you can register for the next webinar. It'll take place on October 12th. It's titled, "Is Your Chart of Accounts Working for You?" With that being said, I want to thank everyone for joining us this morning and have a great rest of your day.